Police recruiting is not just staffing problem, it affects public safety, community trust, officer morale, response times, overtime, tension, and the ability of agencies to serve their communities. Many agencies are spending money on recruiting, but still struggling to turn attention into applicants into qualified candidates, and qualified candidates into hired officers. Today, we are going to talk about why law enforcement recruiting is different, what agencies misunderstand about candidate pipelines, why recruiting requires urgency and leadership alignment, and how technology can support public safety recruiting without replacing the human judgment and trust this work requires. Welcome to another edition of the Smart Office Podcast. I am your host, Hippolyte Asa. I am an AI implementation engineer. I help small businesses use practical AI systems to improve operations, client experience, and growth. Today, I am excited to welcome Doug Larsen, CEO of Safeguard Recruiting. Safeguard Recruiting is dedicated to police recruiting and public safety recruiting. The company helps law enforcement agencies attract candidates, improve recruiting campaigns, modernize candidate engagement, and address staffing shortages with recruiting strategy, technology, marketing, training, and candidate pipeline support. Doug, welcome to the Smart Office Podcast.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, Doug, I've been very interested in this. Is very unique and new. I had a discussion with a lot of people, but not with police recruiting. Safeguard recruiting, I want to have this discussion because safeguard recruiting is what you do. It's a very specific niche. You are not just another general recruiting headhunting firm. You focus on law enforcement and public safety recruiting, and where the stakes are much higher than filing or filling a normal business role. If an agency is understaffed, the consequences can affect officers, families, communities over time, morale, and public trust. That makes this conversation very, very unique, right, and important. So how are you doing today?
Doing excellent.
Great.
Having a great day so far.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. I think we're going to talk a lot about why this is very valuable for police chiefs, sheriffs, safety, recruiters, city leaders, other teams, everyone trying to understand how modern law enforcement recruiting has changed. And a lot of people are listening probably didn't know that there was an agency for recruiting. You're going to know why police recruiting is different from ordinary hiring and why agencies need more than marketing. They need a pipeline. We're going to talk how technology can help this. So, Doc, but before we get there into police recruiting, can you share your story? Like what led you from law enforcement into building safeguard recruiting?
Yeah, sure can. Safeguard was founded about 5 years ago. And I'm retired law enforcement, so I've been on both sides of the equation. I understand what it is to be in a department hiring, and I understand what it is to be on this other side and not having enough people in the pipeline, what kind of technology can help you. So where Safeguard came about was actually have a sister company that is Miramax Solutions that works in the truck driving industry because they have a big problem. And that's where I started in recruiting. And as being retired law enforcement, I was still had a lot of connections in law enforcement, traveled the country doing a bunch of training, and departments kept asking me, hey, can you take a look at our recruiting and our system and tell us why we cannot get enough people to be fully staffed, and can you help us out with this? And the more I looked at it and the more I kept diving into departments of all sizes, I realized that departments have an issue when it comes to recruiting. And part of it is government processes are long and they're hard and they're difficult to change. There's not many people that get into law enforcement thinking, hey, I want to go into recruiting. So they don't have the specialty to keep up with the technology and the latest that's going to help you attract people. And so that's where Safeguard was born, is more out of a need and getting asked by a number of departments. And since then, in the last 5 years, it's really evolved to be able to help departments of all sizes with the problem of getting enough candidates in so they can hire quality people. I'll tell you right now, it's not really a shortage of people wanting to get into law enforcement. It's more of a process problem of how we talk to people, how we approach them, and how we communicate with them and keep them engaged. And at Safeguard, we're happy to not only help you get more officers interested in working for you, but we're glad to look at the entire process and help fix where candidates leak during the process. Because if you look at it, some departments go from 3 months to a year before you get hired. And that's a long time.
So when a police chief or sheriff or public safety leader hears the name Safeguard Recruiting, what do you want them to understand about your approach? How is it going to help them reduce, maybe affect that time Is it a problem? Do they want to keep it that way? Do they want to recruit as fast as possible? What is the issue? Like when it comes to safeguard recruiting, how would safeguard help?
The biggest problem we're having now is departments are just accepting we're going to be down officers, and but that has a cascading effect. You have shifts that aren't being filled, you have overtime that's being spent, and it's wearing your force out. So what we need to do is get departments to realize that, hey, it's acceptable and it's all right. Step outside of your comfort zone and bring in an expert in these areas that you need help. So they're getting, and traditionally law enforcement has always had people come knock on their door and want to be involved. But the problem is not enough people are doing it the traditional route. So you need to adjust your system and your process. And we can go through a lot of the different length on how this works, because it's one thing to get somebody interested in working for the department, but once they're engaged, there's so many steps in there. And how do you keep them engaged, involved the entire time through the process? And that's where we specialize. We'll get you enough officers interested that you can choose quality people, but we'll
Right.
also help you with the engagement throughout, and not make your recruiters work harder, but make them more efficient.
So I know you've touched a little bit about what's the difference between law enforcement, but can you talk a little bit more? What makes law enforcement recruiting different from general staffing or corporate recruiting?
Well, for law enforcement recruiting, it's a commitment. You've got to come in and you've got to meet the qualifications. So you're going to have a background check. You're going to have a physical fitness test. You're going to have a psychological test, and these take time. And it's a long process. And then once you do that, you may get hired, but you still got to go through the academy. So there's another hurdle that you got to go through. Or of going through an academy could take 6 months to a year. So it's not like, hey, I want to come into law enforcement and you hire me and I'm good to go in 2 weeks. It's, if I'm new to the occupation, it's going to take some time, and it's kind of a scary process from the outside when people don't understand fully that, hey, what it takes to get into law enforcement, and some of them self-eliminate.
That's interesting. So but Safeguard talks about helping agencies recruit with urgency. So when you say urgency, what do you mean, and why is urgency so important in the police in police recruiting?
What we do is we specialize in getting people interested in your department, people that know they're applying for your department, and we capture enough information up front to start a conversation with those people. And so we will go with whatever volume of candidates you need or you can handle. If you're a small department, we'll put the budget for a small department. But if you're some of the larger departments we work with, for example, let's take Philadelphia. We're providing them over 1,000 candidates a month, and because they have a need, they're down 1,200 officers right now, and that's a lot of people to be down. So we help them get those people interested in working for them, get them in the process. We capture enough information up front and we start the communication with them. So we immediately start off with texts and emails so they know the department got their information and that there's interest on both sides.
So many agencies, they spend money on recruiting, marketing, but still struggle to produce hires, right? So where does the process usually break down when it comes to safeguard recruitment? Like, why is there a struggle? Is it what's happening? Is it the messaging? Is there friction? Is there an HR friction? Or is it the messaging at that level? What's going on?
There can be problems once somebody's interested in working for a department, and it ends up being a process problem. And there is a lot of communication issues. In the past, 20, 30 years ago, you might have had 100 to 1,000 people show up for these openings, and that doesn't happen anymore. And they were willing to sit and wait for a phone call.
Wow.
Is not the way that it works now. Everybody's got a phone, everybody expects information, they
Yes, for
expect
sure.
communication. And so a big problem that departments have had is on the communication side of things. And they don't communicate, or they don't communicate well. And where we step in with our software, our Safeguard Connect, is we'll automate a lot of that communication. It doesn't need to be the recruiter. We can map out the communications. And then on the other side of that too is what's in your message. And because that can scare a lot of people off. I'll give you an example. A department we work with, 90% of the people were not showing up for the physical fitness test. That's a big drop off.
That's a big drop off.
And the first thing we looked at was the communication that went out. And
Mhm.
it was not the nicest communication. It was really not inviting, and it wasn't flexible. So it would be hardly any notice saying, "Hey, okay, Tuesday at 8 o'clock, you got to be here or you're out." And people
You're
would be
out.
like, "Hey, I can't even get off
I'm
work
like,
by
okay, I'm
Tuesday."
out. I say I'm out then. Like they're gonna choose the easy route. I'm out then.
Yeah, I'm out. But if we can automate communication and keep good communication in there so people feel valued, they feel a part of the
Right.
department, they understand the process as they're going through it and what the next steps are, how to prepare, what they
Uh-huh.
need, that keeps engagement up. That keeps engagement up a lot higher than, well, no communication is bad. People interpret no communication as a lack of interest. And so if your department's not communicating, well, then people are going to move on to people that will talk to them.
So apart from they first show up where they drop off, where do police applicants most often drop off after that?
Well, some places have very
Is
large applications that need to be filled out because they have the background in there. And
yeah,
so these might be 50, 60-page documents that need to be filled out.
right,
And when you take somebody off their phone and move them over to a computer and where they have to register and they have to,
right.
you get drop off there. And you can get massive drop off there because and we advocate simplifying a lot of this, speeding the process up, and a lot of
Hmm.
communication. So you don't need all that information up front for a background check. You need enough information for the person to verify who they are and keep the communication going. As they go through the process, you can keep gathering more information from them for your background check, your psychological, but you don't need it right up front. You don't need to be just, hey, you fill this document out first, then we'll decide if we're interested in you. Because if you do that to a candidate, a lot of times they're going to say, well, maybe I'll come back to this later. And they don't.
So let's talk about speed here. I know you've mentioned speed in most of your write-ups or safeguard. How important is speed in responding to interested candidates?
Very important.
Right,
Communication is key.
right,
And it's got to be the right communication too. So there's different ways to communicate with people, and we have expert copywriters on staff that write messages for us. But when you're trying to get somebody interested in the job, you need to create some urgency there, or get them to sign up for next steps, and then you need to make it easy. But it's
yeah,
if drags on for too long, and that's where government's bad, right? Government works at the speed of government. Well,
right,
not everybody wants to work at that slow pace because it's frustrating. And if you're asking me to wait 9 months for an offer from your department, but this other department's going to hire me in 2 months or 3 months, where am I going to go?
right. Yeah, you're right. I mean, people want delivery tomorrow. Delivery. I mean, everything is on speed now. To keep somebody in the pipeline for that long. Generally, how does somebody stay in the pipeline before being recruited? Like, what's the average right now when it comes to safeguard?
We're seeing in departments, it's anywhere from a couple months to up to a year, and it's hard to keep people engaged for the year. It's
Yeah,
doable, and if you're gonna have a pipeline that's always churning, you need to constantly have names coming in and have them at different steps in that pipeline so you can be successful. You can have the best candidates to choose from. But typically over time, law enforcement has been very slow and public safety has been very slow with the hiring process. But a lot of chiefs and leaders are figuring this out. And
right,
and they're starting to lean into using technology to their advantage and
right.
letting us build forms, letting us build communication that keeps everybody just on their phone where they're at.
Mhm.
That's the easiest way.
Wow, that sounds good. So, Doc, with safeguard recruiting, as recruiting continues helping law enforcement and public safety agencies, what business priority are you most focused on improving right now? Would it be acquiring more agency clients, increasing campaign success? Like in general, what are you guys most scaling campaigns or increasing efficiency, operational efficiency? What's the
We are trying to help every department we can right now. And my goal up front was to not leave the little departments behind, even
right?
though that's more challenging. But if you look across the United States, small departments are the majority. And when they're down 3 officers out of 10 or 20, well, that's a big deal to them because that's a high percentage of their department. So, what we're trying to do is we're trying to educate. And one thing you'll find with, if you go to our website, we do weekly podcasts, we do training
Right.
sessions. We'll come out to your department, do training, we'll do it online. And the whole idea is to help everybody be better because we want to be partners in this, but we're trying to reach as many departments as possible and get them into recruiting format.
Right. That's so that would be something you want to do for this year. Do you have any plans? Let's say what would be the priority for the next 6 to 12 months if you were to look at it and say, okay, we've achieved our goals, our priorities for the next 6 to 12 months, and they went very well. What would be different for Safeguard Frontier and the agencies you serve?
Yeah, ideally, from a business standpoint, we want to grow as much as we can and as fast. But from a technology standpoint, what we're trying to do is add as many features that assist departments as possible. So if you are a candidate, but it's 2 in the morning and you want information on my department, well, my recruiter's not there, but my recruiter
Right.
have to be there because
Mhm.
we can use good AI chat bots. We can get
Right.
information out there that we can answer your questions at any time and then have a live person step in when they need to. So, what we're
Right.
trying to do the most right now is really make everything more efficient and more automated
Accessible.
because that's what's necessary.
Right.
When a department's down a whole lot of officers, they can't pull in extra people to be recruiters, so they're not going to add to that team. So
Mhm.
we can't overwhelm the team by sending them a whole bunch of names and saying, "Hey, call everybody or email everybody." We will give you the system that makes that easy and it automates it.
Right. So I know, let's talk about AI and the technology. From what you're saying, where do you believe AI can create the most practical value or the most practical impact in law enforcement recruiting? Is it in the automated work follow up, as you said? Is it screening support? Is it scheduling? What area in that pipeline do you think is going to have the most impact or the
It's
most
all of
value?
those.
Okay.
Because what we're seeing right now is if you get a high volume of candidates and we can screen them up front for you and score them and say, hey, talk to these people first. That helps really well. The communication aspect of it is just great, not only from answering questions, but giving some feedback or giving some calls. It's really, we've been working hard in that area to bring enhancements in that not only streamline the system but add a lot of value so it captures more candidates and reduces drop off and just creates a lot of efficiencies. And that's where I think departments need to bring in outside specialists, and it's smart to bring in outside specialists bringing this technology and what works and the processes that work, and it's just ready to plug and play instead of you figuring it out on your own and then integrate with your systems.
Let's talk about the market right now. Where do you see the market trend is? I know you mentioned this a little bit earlier about the trend. Are you seeing more people wanting to be candidates for law enforcement? Are they becoming less? Where's the trend looking like, and which areas are easier to fill?
So traditional ways of attracting candidates to public safety departments, the answer is less. Less people are going down that path. But if you reach people in new ways, there are not a lack of candidates at all. There are plenty
Right.
of candidates. And that's where the air comes in. You know, we're seeing a lot of departments, they'll put billboards up or bus ads or they
Right.
go to job boards and then they're wondering why one they can't track their success and they don't know where people are coming from and how their spend's doing, but they're not targeting the right people and it's kind of luck. Like hopefully this bus drives by this person and they remember me. And that's not effective, right? We don't do that. We go 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We
Right.
will take your opening and we take it to the person
Right.
and then we keep the interest going. And that's the big difference. There are plenty of people that want to be in law enforcement, and if there's not that people knocking down your door for your department, it's more likely it's a process issue.
Wow. Yeah, it's a process issue right now regarding not that there are lack of candidates. When it comes to the process with regards, which area do you operate in? Do you operate all over the US? Does Safeguard operate just in specific areas? Where do the clients come from?
We operate across the United States,
Okay.
and we'll do international when we're asked to. And
Right.
when it comes to particular departments, what we do is an assessment with them, and we realistically dive into what area does it make sense for you to recruit from. Is it nationwide? Is it just in an area around you? And there's a lot of factors that come into that, because if you're in a cold weather place, and are people going to move from warm weather places? If you're in a place that the cost of living is high, then it's sometimes harder to attract from certain areas. But we will give them comparable campaigns, we'll give them information, and then we give them live dashboards so they can track everywhere everybody's coming from, and they can see the cost to acquire. But it's definitely nationwide, but for some people it doesn't make sense to be nationwide, and we just advise them on that, because we're not here to waste their money. We're here to be very efficient.
How about candidates? I know the traditional methods do not work now. If candidates want to be in law enforcement, do they reach out to you? Do they reach out to your website? How is that? How would that work?
What we
do you
do,
have a specific criteria with regards to the kind of candidates you're looking for? Somebody's out there listening and probably wants to join the law enforcement. Walk us through the process, like what actually happens.
What we do is we run custom campaigns for each one of our client agencies. And so when we run that, it's straight for them, and we recruit directly for them. The names go directly to them. So Safeguard itself, we don't pull in names ourselves. Now, I get contacted all the time from people that want to be in law enforcement. I find out where they're at, and I forward that information to a department. But we're really agency specific. So what we do is we create a custom set of ads, and we will send those ads out to whatever region we've determined working with the department, and we'll push that information out for them and gather the names from there, and they go straight to the department.
So it works with the department. Okay. So it's not open for like the public to just apply, maybe reach out to you?
If they reach out to me, the public that wants to get into it, I will get their information and send it over to one of our clients that's in their area.
Okay. Sounds good. So for clients or departments that will want to do business with you, what's the best way to get in contact with you? How can they reach out? What's the process like?
Yep. They can go on our website, safeguardrecruiting.com, fill out contact information if they want, or you can reach straight out to me, Doug, safeguardrecruiting.com, and it's just Doug at safeguardrecruiting.com, and I'll either answer myself or I'll get you forwarded to the correct person, and we'd love to at least talk to you, and even if they just want us to look through and assess their whole process and how they're doing and where they're leaking candidates, or maybe why they're not getting enough candidates, we're happy to just do evaluations too, and keep the communication going with them.
That's interesting. Wow. You all here? You can reach out to Safeguard Recruiting for your service for department's needs. Just for analysis, being a client. So, Doc, thank you for joining me on the Smart Office podcast. I really appreciate your insight on law enforcement, recruiting, public safety, staffing, candidate pipeline, agency urgency, and how technology can support recruiting without replacing the human trust and mission required in this work. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
This episode of the Smart Office podcast is sponsored by EveryBrain AI. Most businesses are not losing money because they lack good people. They are losing money because too many things still depend on manual follow-up, missed calls, slow response times, and repetitive admin work. That is where EveryBrain AI comes in. We build AI implementation and automation systems that help your business run smarter. From AI receptionists and smart scheduling to lead qualification, workflow automation, client follow-up, and multi-channel lead generation. Imagine having a system that answers inquiries, qualifies prospects, books appointments, follows up automatically, and helps your team focus on the work that actually grows revenue. And the best part, it's done for you. No long-term contracts, no complicated tech headaches. Most systems can be up and running in 5 to 10 days. So whether you want to save time, cut overhead, or generate more qualified leads, EveryBrain AI can help you build the automation layer your business needs. Visit everybrainai.com and book your free strategy call today. EveryBrain AI, we build AI that runs your business.